someone on the ground who's defending the alliance, I don't want them thinking about how much their weapons cost. I want them defending our citizens.
We'll move to this side of the room. Third row, Reuters.
Thank you. Andrew Gray from Reuters. Question for the Secretary General. Do you consider the response from the United States, particularly from the President, sufficient so far when he said, "What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go." And have you spoken to President Trump about this? If so, what was the content of the message? If not, why have you not spoken to him? And for the Supreme Allied Commander, can you tell us whether any US military assets were involved in the response to this incident? And if not, why not? And can you also give us more details of this new activity, the size, the scale of the operation? Thank you.
To your first question, I think the American reaction was very clear by the American president, also by the ambassador here. It's absolutely clear that we all stand together on this. America's commitment to NATO is ironclad in every sense, there's no doubt. So I was very happy with the American reaction, and I'm not disclosing every phone call, every discussion I have. But you have seen in the press reported a phone call by the Polish president to Donald Trump, the American president. I spoke also with the Polish president. I think that was a very good phone call, clearly building also on the excellent relationship the two have been building last week during the visit of the new Polish president to the White House. So I'm absolutely satisfied on that front.
As far as U.S. military assets, I'm right here, and I'm involved. The United States commitment to the integrated military structure of the alliance remains. For kinetic assets the other day, there were not any. This is a function of the rotation of forces that we have to our different missions around the alliance, and simply a matter of scheduling more than anything else. As we look forward to your question on more details on the size and scope, Eastern Sentry, as I envision it, is going to cover the entire eastern flank of the alliance, from the high north to the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, anywhere that we might see a threat from the Russians. And modeling on Baltic Sentry, which is a highly successful operation in the Baltic Sea, we have been able, through our presence and through adapting the level of forces that we have at any particular time based on how we assess the threat picture, to prevent any attacks on undersea infrastructure in the Baltic Sea since we started that operation. The same logic of this vigilance activity will apply, in that across the eastern flank we'll constantly adjust and change our posture in a manner that keeps the adversary off guard, but also responds to specific threats as we see them emerging.
Fourth row, center.
Thanks for the question. Thomas Kutschka with Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. I have two questions. The first one for the immediate future. When will this new operation be up and running? Baltic Sentry was just a matter of days. Is that the time frame you're considering? And then in the longer term picture, the President of the European Commission this week suggested or proposed a drone wall as an answer to the new threat, to be possibly financed from the common EU budget. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are about this idea. It's something that comes from the Baltic states. Is that the right way to go to better protect the eastern flank? And I leave it up to you who wants to reply.
So I take the second question, and Quincy will do the
Okay,
first.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of comments. I have issued the order tonight for Eastern Sentry to begin. The order went out as this press conference began, and so operations are being brought together immediately underneath my authorities as SACEUR. Now, it will take some time for us to bring everything together with the new contributions that have been coming in, and we'll continue to work on this and refine the design of the operation moving forward, but it begins immediately. I'll just make one comment on the drone wall, Secretary General. This is very in line with some of our thoughts of fortifying our eastern flank from a land and air domain perspective. And just coming back from the Baltics, the number of states are making investments in technologies, learning lessons from Ukraine about what kind of sensors and what kind of weapons, kinetic and non-kinetic, might be effective. And so integrating those sorts of defenses into our daily deterrence activities and into our regional plans is absolutely going to be something that we want to do moving forward.
Exactly. Now, and then to your question about Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, I think she had an excellent State of the Union. There was a lot of defense in there and a lot of, how also the EU can help here and contribute to the overall effort. And this is exactly what we have been doing since October, since I came into office. And of course, we are close personal friends. And the EU and NATO are extremely closely working together on all of this, where we all agree that NATO is about the standard setting, about the capability targets, the defense plans, and the EU is about all the soft power, because you cannot fight with plans. You need to have the weapons, the defense industrial base and all that, and there we need the European Union. Also, of course, there's the question of money. Your question is also referring to that part. And of course, when it comes to money, there's national money. But everything the EU can help is great, and where the EU can bring together initiatives to, for example, when it comes to drones and developing the industry, that is all extremely helpful and absolutely in line with how I think also the President of the European Commission see the division of labor. And here we can learn so much from, of course, Ukraine itself. They have a well-established defense industrial base. They have a lot of experience now with drone interceptors. We have JTAC, the Joint Analysis Training and Education Center in Poland, which is joint NATO and Ukraine, where we take lessons. And as we both said, Admiral Pierre von Jay and his team in Norfolk, of course, working day in, day out on making sure that we apply the latest insights, technologies in how we build our posture.
Okay, we'll come to the second row in the center, please.
Hi, thank you, Terry Schultz with Deutsche Welle today. The alliance has long been asking for enhanced, or allies, I should say, has long been asking for enhanced air defense, even before the war with Ukraine, but certainly since Russia's full-scale invasion. So do you feel at all that now you're having to play catch-up, that these are things that could have and should have been done earlier, and now it's simply been thrown into such sharp focus, and with the danger intensifying every day from Russia, is this not too little, but a bit late?
Yeah, I would refer to the performance that we had the other night during the incursion in Poland, in that we were well postured. The authorities that the North Atlantic Council had provided to SACEUR had been further delegated, and aircrew were able to act decisively on a meaningful tactical timeline to eliminate much of the threat that was heading into Poland. So I don't think we're playing catch up. I think we were postured fairly well for that event. Now, having said that, we're always learning, and that's part of the reason that we're moving forward with this enhanced vigilance activity to bring additional capabilities together, given the scale of that incursion being something that we hadn't seen to this point. We had seen a few drones here and there, a smaller number, very well postured. If it had just been that, we would have gotten them all. But clearly, with the number that came across the border, it's time to take a fresh look at this, and we're always learning. NATO is a learning organization. Allied Command Operations is a learning command, and we're going to do everything we can as we learn those lessons to incorporate them rapidly and ensure we're defending every inch of the alliance.
All right, now we will go to Bloomberg here in the second row.
Thank you very much. Jen, I have a question for you first. Yes. Presumably, you have more information now about the question of intent than you had 2 days ago. So even though I understand, like, you're still assessing, what more do you know today than you knew 2 days ago? And also, more of a philosophical question, perhaps, on intent. How do you exactly define intent? Do you mean the intent for these drones to have been in Polish airspace in the first place, or once they are in Polish airspace, what they were intending to do there? And SACEUR, I also have a question for you. I struggle to understand what exactly is new in this new Sentry program beyond assets that have already been announced and that are now being integrated. So if you could tell us exactly what the new assets are going to be. Thank you so much.
Well, on your first question, obviously by day we get more insights. I won't share them with you, but I think that at the moment when we would have a full conclusion and we could share it with others, we could do so. And even that I'm not sure of, because that all depends, of course, on what we find. The only thing I can tell you, because I think whatever I tell you has to be the truth. And the truth is that at this moment we are still assessing. And at the same time, I think the question is relevant. What's behind this?